Sometimes when you set out to tell a story, you end up in a very different place from where you thought you were going. Earl was a Category 4 hurricane, and it was coming to America. You know, the dirty little secret of all of us who live in shore towns is we just pray that when these storms do come, they land on somebody else's town, not ours. Earl, we were told, was huge, and the whole Atlantic coast, from Carolina to Canada, was at risk. I biked over to the beach on Thursday to see how things looked. The question became, was Earl going to kick us in the ass? I left my bike near a handicap-only parking place, and when I got back, there was a woman parked there who had seen me with my camera. "Can I buy copies of the pictures you took?" she asked. I told her it was a movie camera, and then she asked if I could make her a DVD. She told me she had been here during the Great Atlantic Hurricane of 1944. Well, anybody who wants a movie from me is barking up the right tree, and we exchanged phone numbers. I started pedaling away, but then thought, what am I doing? I better go back and get her story.
My name's Pat O'Brien, and I was here in the 1944 hurricane, and I have to say I loved every minute of it. I know that's the wrong thing to say, because there was so much damage done, but the island was practically empty. There weren't many people that lived here all year round, and there weren't big houses. There were some tall ones, but most of them were cottages. I was 12 at the time. We got sent home from school, and I was staying with my grandmother at that time at 3501 Central Avenue. And there was a gazebo at 35th and the beach. And her house was right there because Central Avenue was the first street from the dunes. The storm started and the rain started, the wind started. My grandmother was petrified, so we had to go to the third floor so she could sit in her rocker and say the rosary. Well, I could run from window to window and think of how great this looked. And the ocean came up and went over the pavilion, completely over the pavilion, and rushed down the street. West Avenue, it wasn't cut through at that time, but the bay came up. Bay Avenue wasn't cut through either. So the bay and the ocean met about where Asbury and West are now. Then they would meet, and it was like a huge spout over and over. And I don't know, I might be stupid, but I just really liked it. But she was in tears by then, saying her rosary over and over, and I was just running from window to window. I remember there was a little dog on the street that couldn't get away anywhere, and I did feel upset about that because she wouldn't let me even go down to the second floor, let alone go try to get the dog. It was scary, I guess, but beautiful in some ways, just beautiful to see the water the way it was. And I do have pictures of some of the damage that was done though. One of my daughters got them for me online now from the 44. So if you want to see them, I'd be glad to show you.
Was your house or was her house damaged?
No, it really wasn't. I mean, there was some water that came in her first floor apartment, but it stuck it out. It really stuck it out fine. There's a curve between about 26th Street out to maybe 35th or 36th Street. And for some reason, I think that protects some of the houses in that area. Well, now it's different because of all the building, but then we seemed kind of protected in a way.
Do you know what the name of that storm was?
No, I don't.
But
I don't even know if they named them then. That's a long time ago.
Wow, this was 1944.
1944.
All right. Well, hey, thank you, Pat, and I will definitely
very
try to look that
welcome.
up, and I may have to come over and get those pictures.
Okay.
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 That night, my wife and I went over to the Sandy Point in Somers Point, New Jersey, to hear some live jazz. Earl was supposed to hit us hard the next morning. I figured music and beer would help me forget about my impending homelessness for a while. Well, morning arrived, and somehow Earl had decided to stay about 200 miles offshore. The waves were spectacular, but this was not going to be a repeat of the storm of '44. My movie was supposed to be about Earl, but thank God he was a dud. On the other hand, if it weren't for Earl, I wouldn't have met Pat. Who are these people?
This is me. This one is Denise. That's my oldest daughter. This is Patricia. That's the middle daughter. You know how middle daughters get treated. But that's the artist one. And this is the youngest one, Jacqueline. Jacqueline, Patricia, and Denise.
And they all have kids?
No, this one's not married.
Uh-huh.
This one has a 5.
Whoa.
And this one has 4.
There was something so compelling to me about a fearless 12-year-old loving every second of her hurricane while her grandmom cowered in fear. I had to know what happens to a kid with such a spirit when she grows up. When I went over to look at her pictures from 1944, I found out. In 1954, Pat O'Brien graduated from Penn State with a degree in chemistry. She did research at SmithKline French until 1960, had 3 daughters, and eventually got a job at the National Institutes of Health, where she did work on the heart. And 66 years after the great Atlantic storm of '44, she is still hoping to see one more hurricane.
It was scary.
Oh.
I thought it was so much fun.
Yeah.